Hello everyone, Lisa here, What's Crafting Wednesday. My second attempt tonight going live. I hope it's working. Judy was nice enough to call and let me know that it had not went live, and I just don't know what the problem is. And I apologize for last week because I had a wonderful 24 minutes by myself crafting along thinking I was live with all of you. So let's just get started and we'll do the drawing from these festive cards from 2 weeks ago. And I have my tickets here already with everybody's names, and I'll just get them in my bag. Okay, and do my usual little shake, shake, shake. And my poor bag is starting to come apart. I've been using this for years for my crafting drawings. Now, should I tape it together or should I get a new one? It will seem funny not to use this one anymore. All right, they're mixed up good. Let me just grab a ticket here. Do I have two? I do. Let me drop one. Okay. And we have Jennifer. Well, congratulations, Jennifer. I have these cards here for you. Okay, tonight we will be making a side flap card. At my birthday stamp camp last week, we made this side flap card here with the Wonderful World DSP and stamp set, which is a free celebration offering, which very sadly ends this evening. A couple months back, I had done my monthly customer thank you card as a side flap, and Carol had asked if I would do a class on it at some time to learn how to make it. So that was what I did last week. And tonight we will be doing a Christmas side flap card using the Merriest Moments stamp set, which was in last year's holiday catalog and carried over for this year, which I'm very happy about because I just love the fonts in here. And we will be using the silver and gold specialty paper. This is a 6x6 pack, and it is also a free celebration offering, which again will be ending this evening. And we'll do a little adorning with some red rhinestones and embossing in silver. So let's get started. I have my card pack here, and of course a basic white envelope. And I have my little cheat sheet because it's a lot of measurements to remember. But later, once I go back in and edit, all of these measurements will be underneath in my blog, in my Facebook post, under the video, and when I get to my blog and my YouTube. So I have, for this sentiment, I have real red in 2 3/4 by, no, 2 3/8 by 2 3/8, and our piece for stamping in 2 1/8 by 2 1/8. And our specialty paper, which I mixed it up a bit here for this card, and I think it looks really nice. I did some vertical striping, some horizontal striping, and some polka dots, what I still think really are falling snowflakes. But these measurements are 4 by 3 3/4, 1 by 3 3/4, and 1 3/4 by 1. And our little side flap mechanism is 1 1/4 by 4 3/4, and that we will score. And I have Garden Green for the card base, and this is your standard 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. And for the inside, I have basic white, and it's 5 by 3 3/4. And then our real red piece is 9 1/4 by 4, and this we're going to score at 4 1/4. And then our side flat piece we're going to score at 1/2 inch. Now this really is a very easy card to make. I love these fun folds that look like you really put a lot of time and effort into them. But once you make one, you find out it's really very easy to create. And this is one of those easy to create fun folds. So I have folded and used the bone folder for a nice crease on both the card piece and the side flap mechanism. So once you have this, it's really just the assembly of the card and any stamping that you would like to do. So we will start by doing some assembling here, and I did not put a sentiment on the inside. I left that blank and I just put the strip of DSP here. And I'll just show you the difference in the card from class last week. This one here, I did do stamping inside. I put a sentiment and some stamping here so that you can see it when the card is closed. But I changed it up a bit this week and put the DSP there, which I think looks very pretty. So let's just put these out of the way and we will get started here. So for the assembly, you take your DSP and just adhere this on the front. And again, your adhesive of choice. I, of course, am using Tombow. And just center it on your card front. And then you take your basic white piece for the inside, and this just butts up against the end there. Okay. And then we'll just adhere this right on the inside of the card. And again, just centered. And then just make sure it lines up with that. And that's pretty good. And then we adhere it to the garden green card base. But first you take your little side flap mechanism. You're going to take and put the adhesive along the inside of that tab because it's going to go right there. So we put the adhesive on here first. And then, center it as best as you can. Just eye it. I don't measure it. Right, Judy? You don't measure. Okay, and then this gets adhered to the garden green base. Now you could use tear and tape. I just used Tombow for my samples and in the class last week. Just cover that good. And then just center it on the card base. See how easy that was to assemble this card? And this piece here, we will put on once we have our sentiment on, just to make sure we have it in the right place. So I will put this off to the side. And next we will be doing our stamping and embossing. So I'm going to do the envelope at the same time I do our sentiment here. And again, just as a reminder, whenever you are heat embossing, always use your embossing buddy so that you don't get the extra embossing powder flakes. Okay, and we're using Versamark ink. And again, just as a reminder, it's clear, it's thick, kind of gooey, and it's slow drying, and it is perfect for heat embossing. So on the envelope, I stamped Joy and heat embossed it in silver. So I just ink up my stamp and put it there in the corner. And then add my embossing powder. And I always like to put the powder on twice, just to make sure everything gets covered good. And then I just tap. And I have a little bit of stray right there. I'm just going to brush off with my finger. Okay. There. So I'll put that aside because I'm going to heat emboss them both at the same time. And, oh, here's my stamp. Now, since this, the Versamark pad is smaller than our Stampin' Up! Pads, I'm going to take the pad to the stamp since this is a larger sentiment. So whenever it's a large sentiment, I always take the pad to the stamp rather than the stamp to the pad. Alright, and I hopefully am getting this centered on that little piece of paper, but in case I don't, I do have a backup. I'm just going to move it down a little bit so I could see better to center it. And hopefully it will be straight also. Alright, so let's give this a try. Since this ink is clear, it's really hard to tell until you actually get the powder on it. And I'll get a little more here. And like I said, I always like to add the powder twice just to make sure it gets good coverage. And tap it off. And I just see a couple little stray pieces. Now, a lot of people use a little brush to get those off. I usually just use the tip of my scissors or the tip of my tweezers. If I used a brush, I'd probably end up brushing it off everything. Okay. Now, I apologize. We're going to have a little noise for a minute as I turn on my heat gun. And whenever I heat emboss, I usually count to about 20 first to make sure it heats up good before I take it to the paper. And the Stampin' Up! Embossing tool, heat tool, has two settings, a low and a high. You always want to heat emboss with the high setting. The low setting is more for, say, when you watercolor and you want to quickly dry the paper. But for heat embossing, you want it to be on the high setting. Okay, so just bear with me for the noise for a moment. Okay, let me see if I can do this on the camera here, and if you can watch this actually change. I just love watching, oh my goodness, I love watching that. Oh, how pretty. All right, now let me grab this. Can you see it starting to turn? Okay. This is the first time I ever went to a stamping class. We heat embossed, and I was just amazed about it. It was something I never saw or heard of before, that first class I went to. And just initially watching it change from that dull powder to the shiny embossing, I don't know, I still remember that. At the time, I just thought it was just so amazing. So all we do with this now is just adhere that to the Real Red mat. And just turn it upside down and rub it. And then we're going to adhere it to the card base. And my little tip for this, because I want it to go right to the end of the side flap piece. So to make sure you don't get too much adhesive on here or where you don't want the adhesive, I just put that at the bottom there so I know where to end the glue when I'm putting it down, so I don't put it too far over on here. So let me just add this here. And then again, it's just kind of like eyeing it to get it in the center of the card. And remember, it's handmade, so if you don't get it exactly in the center, it's not that big of a deal. And then we're going to add this little piece here. And I somehow, somewhere, ended up with a little bit of adhesive stuck on the back of here. I don't know where that came from. And see, that butts up nicely against this piece here. And then all that's left is just to embellish it with some red rhinestones. So let's add these on here. And one down there. And I see in my haste to get ready to restart my live that I somehow cut something off a little bit, but hey, it's still okay, right? So there is our card tonight. Very easy to make, fun fold side flap card. And I have my original sample and last week's card from my solo live, and then the one that we just made. Okay, my crafty friends, thank you for joining me. Thank you for sticking by when my lives haven't been working lately. I hope I don't continue to have any trouble, and I still don't exactly know what the problem is. I just know that there's been a lot of changes with the business Facebook pages. Okay, everyone. I'll be back next Wednesday, hopefully. And I don't know yet what we'll make, but I hope it's something that you will like. And I will have the drawing for, lucky you, 3 cards next week. So leave those comments. Let me know what you think of tonight's card. If you've ever made a side flap, if you think you're going to make one now, and if you do, make sure you send me some pictures so that I can feature it in my monthly Share What You Stamp post. And don't forget, tonight is the last night for celebration. Last chance to get this silver and gold specialty paper, the Wonderful World DSP and stamp set, those adorable hippos, and all of our other free celebration choices. So don't forget, if you haven't yet or you want to, again, celebrate tonight. We also have a join special that ends tonight as well. You get a planner, a stamp set, and some notebooks, along with your choice of $125 of Stampin' Up! Product for $99 and free shipping. Best Stampin' Up! Deal there is. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you again for joining me. I look forward to reading your comments and seeing you back here next Wednesday, hopefully without a glitch next week. Okay, everyone, have a very crafty week, and I will see you next week. Bye.